Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. First things first, I have to say a massive thank you to you guys for the response I received to my Rolex Flex video. Clearly the topics I discussed were topics that resonated with you guys. That means the topic was well worth discussing and debating. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you my opinion, which I strongly back, but my opinions are absolutely there to be debated. However, sadly there were one and two comments that made me fall slightly short of the standards that I like to keep on my channel, and for those that leave those sorts of comments,
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble.
No, I'm just messing about, guys. But I would say this, you guys can expect from me the highest levels of respect and decency when you leave your comments or interact with me in any way. So when you send your comments in, if you could just keep that spirit in mind. And for those that don't have anything nice to say, you love Twitter. Before we move on to the main topic of the video, I'm going to do my customary wristwatch check, and today I'm wearing my Rolex Submariner date. Now if you go back to my Rolex Flex video, you remember that I spoke about Rolex now being synonymous with a high-end brand. Hence the hype has resulted in the price of the Rolex sports watch models going astronomically high. But it's got me thinking, is there something else going on? Are we now seeing some watch models, not just Rolex, being used as a store of wealth? I did some research on my own just to see if there was some truth to this statement. Nothing I'm about to say constitutes financial advice. To do this, I did have to set some controls. So to that end, all monetary comparisons and valuations are between a time period of January 2019 and October 2022. Secondly, all the watches assessed, according to Cronometre, have a year of production of between 2010 and 2019. The first thing I did was compare the value of the pound versus the US dollar. On the 4th of January 2019, £1 was worth $1.27. Fast forward to 2022 and the 3rd of October 2022, one British pound is now worth $1.13, rounded up. Or in other words, the British pound has lost 11% of its value compared to the US dollar. If you want to put this in another way, in January 2019, £100,000 would have been worth $127,000. Now, that same £100,000 is only worth $113,000. That's a reduction of $14,000. So you may ask, where do high-end watches come into this conversation? Well, I'm now going to look at a number of high-end watches and using their secondary sales value as per Cronometre, I'm going to compare their value in 2019 versus what it is now. The first watch I'm going to look at is the Breitling 01 limited edition, reference AB0120. As at January 2019, Cronometre has its value at around £4,217. At October 2022, Cronometre has its value at being around £4,353. This means the value of this watch has increased by roughly 3% in that time period. The third watch is the Rolex Skydweller, reference 326934, and this is with the white face. At January 2019, Cronometre has its value at being around $12,925. However, at October 22, Cronometre has its value at being around $19,865. This is an amazing increase of 54% during this time period. The final watch I'll consider is the Rolex Daytona Platinum, reference 116506. As at January 2019, Cronometre has its value down at being at around $47,363. However, at October 2022, the value is now £115,108. This is an increase in value of 143% in that time frame. It's scary how much value this watch has accrued in that time. Now, if I put this in another way, I've got my protection versus weak pound graph here. At the bottom of the scale, we have the Breitling 01. And although this increased by 3% in the time period between January 2019 and October 2022, if you factor in the reduction of value of the British pound at 11% compared to the dollar in this time period, overall you'll be down 8%. When we look at the Rolex Daytona Platinum, between January 2019 and October 2022, this watch increased in value by 143%, and even after taking into account the reduced value of the pound, you're better off by 132%. To really hit home this point, in the same time period of January 2019 to October 22, gold, which is an actual precious metal, has only increased by 46% in value. In other words, 4 of the Rolex sports watch models have performed even better than gold, and that's going from the Batman, the Submariner, the Hulk and the Rolex Daytona Platinum, which is crazy because although some watches are of limited edition or are discontinued, they're not what you call a scarce resource. In conclusion, can I say that some timepieces are being used as a store of wealth? Well, after reviewing the data, I'd have to say there's probably some truth to this, and it looks as if some Rolex models in particular are the preferred timepieces, but there are some other watches that I think this conclusion can be applied to. A few years back, some of you may remember that I was on the Watch Dealer's Apprentice. At the time, I was able to find on Chrono24 an FP Journe Cronometre Bleu, and if my memory serves me right, in pretty good condition too, for around £40,000. If you go back to the video, you'll see the watch that I'm referring to. If you now look on Chrono24 for FP Journe Cronometre Bleu, you will be shocked at the price you will see these watches are going for now. It's to be expected that some of you may disagree with my assertions, but I have to say there must be some truth to it, because I was there and I witnessed firsthand the hysteria around the launch of the Moon Swatch, which was a £200 watch, where perhaps some thought they could make a few £1,000s from getting one of these watches early and selling it on the black market. But I think now, with the realization that you can make a great deal of money from being involved with watches and horology, has meant that it's kind of taken some of the joy out of watch collecting, in my view. Because for me, watch collecting wasn't about the money, it was about the history of the brands, the movements, the complications, the adventures, going to the moon, dive into insane depths, seeing special watches in special films. Watch collecting, for me, was a joy. That's it for me, and if you enjoyed the video today, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.